All right, hey guys, let's see what's going on today. I'm going to check my page to see if we are live. We're gonna do some, we're gonna do some Spelljammer art today. So give me a hot second here to check up on where we're at. Okay, sounds like I'm coming through. Okay, so mic check, 1, 2, 3. Is that how we're gonna be at? Like blah 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 blah. Is that how we're gonna be at? Like blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, that sounds pretty good. Take that to there, and I'm copying my link here real quick. I'm just going to post on the social medias. I'm up and at 'em, and then we'll get to work here for a couple hours. Let's see. Let's paste. Stop, bump. So I should probably try to amuse you before you just decided to sign away. My name's Theurgy. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online, and I have been running D&D games for the past 30 since 87, however many years, 37 years? Yeah, that feels right, 37 years on Gbos. I've been a Spelljammer enthusiast since 80, God, when it come out, 87, something like that. I bought it off the bookshelf while it was still in the wrapper at B. Dalton Books at the Malls of St. Louis back in the 80s. Jeez, McCrow. And I've been creating content on DMsGuild for 5th edition since 2017. So I'm basically I'm a huge Spelljammer enthusiast. New book came, the new set came out in August 2022. It didn't have as much depth as what I'm used to having from 2nd edition mechanics. I'd already built various mechanical systems to be able to run Spelljammer in 3rd edition as well as in Cypher system. So this was another opportunity for me to expand rule sets. So we built you can see it here, the combat and exploration. It's a deep dive into the mechanics of how 5e can be used in a Spelljammer campaign to be able to build wild systems and all that other cool stuff. So let's see. Let's go to front end here. And I just posted I'm live on Twitter at the X-Twitter platform at Theurgy. That's me. Hey, guys. And then like, subscribe, bell icon to get notified. Holy Hannah, thanks again, more subscribers since this morning. I really appreciate you guys taking an interest in the stuff that I do here. So I recently put out a book, a video about Starkraken, the Mega Kaiju, basically a 1,500-foot cosmic horror kraken attacking the Rock of Brawl using the mechanics that are inside of this book. Right now, what we're doing is we are building out a 500-foot Mega Crab. It's basically a super ship. With the mechanics we have in that book, the largest size that a helm can move an object is a 500-foot space object, and this occupies a 500-foot space. It's a transformed version of Vocath's base in Doom Space. Major spoiler alert for folks that are not yet gone through Light as Araxis, but this is the base that Vocath the Merking controls, and as spoken of various times in the past streams. So go back a few streams, you can hear me talk about it. But basically, this is its like city mode, and then it transforms by unfurling all these crystals as legs and claws, and then retracting these boarding platforms. Right, retract all that stuff, and then you get this crab instead. Here's the top side. This is what it looks like from the top. But right now we are taking care of the bottom. So we've got the 9 different floors throughout here. So it's a fully proper, completely mapped out structure with room for like room and board and crew and engineering and food and kitchens and storage and all this stuff. Like everything you possibly could actually need in an independently operating long-term base, a home, basically, with servant quarters and all that stuff, as well as being able to accommodate guests, the arena itself, and of course, when you press a button, it unfurls all of its weaponry and it becomes a very defensible location. So we're using this to create a new encounter, specifically built for Light as Araxis. But let's see, what am I missing here? Bloop, there we go. there's its form with its stuff out. Edit and hold on. I'm trying to do the things with all the bits. There's still some shading sitting there, but you can see like if that claw shading. I'm messing up my layers. So I need to stop while I'm ahead because I'm going to cause some trouble here with screwing up where all my layers are at. But yeah, that's basically the skinny of how this thing is. We built out all the levels. Right now we're just doing the last bits of the highlighting and shadow work for the structure itself here on the underbelly. And then we'll reduce it down to a token. And from there, let's see, this is the landing deck. We've got the battle deck and the limbs taken care of. Let's see. So this is the landing deck. So here's the where the limbs intact. Here's the top deck, and if you lift that off, this hole here drops down into this engineering area. This is a conveyor belt that grinds up all the rocks that this basically bites off a chunk of asteroid, and it goes down this conveyor belt and gets ground up along the way. And when it dumps off of the conveyor belt, it's the right size for these animated claws to reach down, grab a stone, and then load it into a trebuchet. So this entire assembly is basically animated and automated siege weapons that can be operated with a single verbal command from the captain of the ship, which is Vocath the Mercane on his throne. Basically, fire all trebuchet, and so it'll already be loaded up with them, and then it takes a little while for the claws to load up all the stones. But that helps minimize the amount of people that actually need to be on deck, because each one of these things requires a crew of 7. So this would be 70 crew that he'd have to be able to account for, just for the offhand chance that somebody was going to try to roll up and cause trouble. Better just to purchase animated machines that can just be commanded verbally from deck, from the bridge, without having to worry about adding in additional creatures to complicate things or even potentially betray. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to get rid of the top deck, and we are, let's see, we're just gonna keep working. That's what we're doing right now. So limbs are good, they're complete. I'm happy with them as they are. And this is the battle deck. It is also complete. I'm happy with it as it is. So right now we are working on teeth. So we're highlighting the teeth in the gearbox that grinds up the stones as they trundle their way down into the belly of the machine. It's appropriate, right? So I'm going to duplicate these layers. I'm just going to duplicate and drag. And then we'll duplicate and flip again. So here, move these down the conveyor belt like that. And let's get rid of that. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's by far from perfect, but it's good enough. So duplicate again. But it's good enough. There, that should resolve that. I can stitch those up. We got our line work here. So let's see. Here is an exhaust vent for. This is a forge for repairing different pieces of equipment inside or on the construct. So let's see. Clean this up a touch. We were doing some Eberron adventure cartography this morning, and hold on, here. I need to get a timer going. I need a 20-minute timer to bounce with me here. Chunk, 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 chunk. Cool. All right. Let's see. That feels better. So exhaust vent here for the forge so that you don't smoke yourself out, right? You gotta vent that stuff out. Let's see here. Curious. Okay, that must be limb junk. We'll clean this up later. Let's see. Okay, so how does this layer in together? Got the teeth. We're working on lines here. Those are good. Lines are good. What happens if we put the teeth down here? Nothing changes. Super. So, on the teeth. That's just interior color in general. Right. Line is good. Let's open this up and go with color again. Color. Teeth. Let's just keep working on the highlights here. Go to our battle deck to grab our highlight color. And then we can keep that battle deck in place. Let's drop that color in here. Good. Ooh, that's a good point. Let's go with battle deck. The battle deck might actually be the best place for me to put that. So let's do that. We're gonna go to here and here. And go here. Feels good. I feel like I need to do something with that. Hold on. Yeah, that feels good. I like that. That. I'm going to smudge that in a bit to maintain that same curve that we have going on here. Good, 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 good. So the topic came up on my Discord today, and anyone can access my Discord. You don't have to be a subscriber or anything, but if you want to jump onto my Discord, you can find me. Let's see, go down here to my Discord. Link is on my Patreon about page. Here is the link right here, and if you want to join my Patreon, it's only $1 to be on board. It gives you preferential availability for any playtesting that I'm going to be doing, which will be a slew of it between now and November. And so anyone that is interested is welcome to jump on board for that. Back there, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to free transform. I'm going to flip vertical. And I'm going to push this up. Keyboard's making rattling noises. Hold on. There, let's just shut it up. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. All right, do that. Lock that up, and then we can make that disappear. We can see our exhaust vent now, and see. I feel like there should be some sort of, if there were to be a shadow effect, it would be coming from, basically the light source comes from the middle outward. So this is the middle of the ship, so all the light source basically radiates from here. That looks good. There's not a lot of stairs on this thing. There it is. And just this. Merge down. Grab this. Paste, free transform, flip vertical. Right into position. And I don't need any lighting along here because that's just a flat surface. I don't want to do cast shadow with the claw because the claw can move, so it's a separate token that will have detachable. So that takes care of the landing deck. Does that mean did I just finish? Oh my. I mean, yeah, I think I just finished. Okay, so there's that. Now we can go ahead and make a token out of this. Cargo deck is just fine. Don't need that. Top side. There we do. All right, well that's our So that's our fucking battle crab, man. We did it. We made a thing. We made this thing. It's ours. We created this. Pretty fucking proud of that. Let's duplicate this. Merge this group. Transform. .500 scale. It doesn't look so big, huh? It's not so scary. .500 token. .50 scale token. All right, well, okay, so now we can just build a battle map for the environment, and then we can pace out the. Well, we need some guard tokens. We have a token for Vocath. We want to also have his helm, his crawling throne. We need the Braxit token, which I actually don't have one yet, so that's going to be fun. Let's map this out real quick. So we need battle map. We need crawling throne token. We need they are called, what are they called? They are called, what are they called? Guard tokens, servant tokens, Braxit tokens. Let's see, outline combat as per the combat and exploration document. Locks conversion guide. Because basically this is like an alternate encounter for Light as Araxes that we're basically squeezing in as a $2 thing or whatever. Stupid cheap. Outline combat as per CNE. We already have the Prince Zealot token. We already have the Starmoth tokens. We have the minion tokens. Cover. All right, so that's our list of assets that we still need to build. So right now, let's get after that. I'm gonna hit File, save as. Where are we taking this? Mega Kraken, finished. Flip over, buddy. No, Mega Kraken. Thank you. Let's take that to Spelljammer. Production. Vocath crab. There we go. Production. Notes. Drop that out of the way for the time being. Okay, so ship. We have the thumbnail. We have the reference. Let's grab the reference and export it from the ship. Here, conceal the ship. We have the reference. crab. Our allies. Right now, what we want to do is let's go with battle map, and we've got, how big is this? Inner size. Really? Okay. Let's go with what, 1400? No, it's the canvas we want bigger, not the image. Canvas size must increase. So let's take this to 5 by 4. Split. Very good. So if we're at 15 inches, 5 inches, it's 15 by 15. It's not a very big area. Image, canvas size 5 by 4. I want this to be at least 20 by 20, right? Do 10 by 10. That way, at the 100 pixel scale, this 300 by 300 space will be 30 by 30 square as a battle map, which is plenty sufficient size, I believe. And let's see. So we want to grab our reference here. We can, build that on top of there. Our reference is good. Let's unlock our reference and pull it up to the corner here so it doesn't hurt anybody. Let's see. How are we gonna? Okay, so when I don't see any color. I'm colorblind. It's called chromatomism or chromatopsia. There's a link to it down below, and so I don't have any cones. I don't see any color. I have extra rods instead, so I'm always on like hyper night vision. So I get blinded by bright lights very easily. Everything washes out on me. But what it does is it polarizes my sense of contrast in the image. I don't see the color. All I see is the contrast. So I see like here in this illustration, I can see the dark, the mid-tone, and then the highlights over here. But I have no idea what color is. I could just think it's gray, or I could think it's it might be blue or green. I'm not sure, but it just comes off as gray tones to me in general. So for somebody that can't see color, we're going to paint by contrast. When I create a composition, I'm looking for having separation of form and subjects in the composition by being lighter or darker, like constantly framing and reframing each other in silhouettes. So I'll build something that looks aesthetically pleasing to me in a gray tone, and then find colors that match that gray that I see. I'll find, like, if I think it should be dark over here. If I think it should be dark over here, whatever color. What color is this? This is like barely an off blue purple, right? Or barely purple blue, but it's very, very dark. And up here, I bet it's going to have more. Yeah, there you go, a lot more blue. So. This fades, so it's blue clouds in general, right? Are we looking at blue freaking everywhere out here? No, it gets in the green stuff down here. And then what about down here? It's it's mildly green. Darkish green. What about over here? Get out of here. What about over here? It turns blue again. And now it's green down here. So I'm going to have I'm going to have a lower layer of green, and then higher areas are blue, huh? Interesting. Then out here in the distance, that's also green. And that looks like a planet, a neighboring planet that is on the horizon. So let's go with, so I'm going to basically paint by black and white, but use a color brush to duplicate that blacken effect, right? So let's just do it and you'll see what I'm doing. I do not need a grid right now. So battle map here. Just gonna start off by filling the whole thing in. And then let's find that's a really sharp green. See how the green levels off and the red and the blue are the same. That's how I know it's green. And then here I see that the blue is jilted up just a little bit in this area around here. And it's pulling from over here. What about down here? See that the green and the red and the blue have almost caught up to the green, so I know that's not a very high saturation of blue. This is much more saturated because there's a big difference between the blue and the red, and where the red and the blue is and the green is at. That wider degree of separation there lets me know this is a sharper, vibrant color, as opposed to like down at the bottom here, it has trace blue, but it's mostly washed out. So that's how I can see here. This is also this dark area, also very washed out. Not much saturation here. It's a dark cloud space, so I shouldn't expect that. So we're going to take this sharp highlight here for now, and we're just going to I think I'll make another layer, just kind of like flump around a little bit with it. Do like that. Drop down the sides here a little bit. Just make some stuff. I don't have any. This map doesn't need any tiling per se. Like there's no replications I have to worry about. It just has to look aesthetically pleasing, and that just means I get the fuck around. So that's what we're going to do. This is the cloud brush that I built. It's specifically to be able to make cloudy, smoky sort of tufty sort of looks, a texture to it. So I'm going to just let this one kind of fluff around a little bit and blend and just push some pixels, just doing some real Bob Rossi happy little cloud space here, except that it's an overhead view instead of from the side, or below, as it were. Oh, this crazy knot has been in my chest and it's been affecting my neck. It's starting to give in and let go. And it's a wonderful experience to have that stress and that tension melt off of the body. I love that. Do this at first, I think. Just loosen it in a little bit. Since clouds exist in striated layers, if I think about this as like building different floor plans and stacking, like that's why I'm stacking this on a separate layer. Like this is the base plate, like the under shadow of where these clouds are at. But I'm building these clouds so that they have like these little points of separation and overlap to be able to create a bit of a three-dimensional look to the place. That's the goal anyway. So we'll lump over like that. There was a great question that came up in Discord today. I really encourage anyone that's interested in my spelljamming mechanics in general to jump into my Discord and check out some of that conversation. But it's basically asking about how the DM can break up action economy, or like what's a good rate of fire for enemy ships that are challenging the team. And I am completely teasing this because I don't feel ready to just rant. Like I provided a little bit of an essay about it on Discord this morning that folks can go read, and I want to have a video about that, but I'm not ready just to pontificate right now. The energy doesn't feel quite right for me to ramble on about that sort of song. But it's on the horizon. I'm going to be devoting some time. Basically, probably when we get into building the fleets here, that would be the proper time to start talking about how DMs can break up and choose using action economy based on the power of the team, which is a super fun exploration about like how you can modify or bend CR into looking differently, or like how do you size up the strength of your team from a non-CR hinged base, you know? I'm gonna just chop that out there real quick and blend this in. So that's a conversation that we have to have when we start building the fleet specs for the allies versus Star Elves in this encounter. So that'll be next week or so. It's on our list to do. That feels pretty good as a base. Now let's go back to our reference. We're going to build a new layer. Oh, that's a very sharp green, isn't it? That is not. Okay, let's do that. Now we have a new layer here that's on top of the rest, so I can afford to futz around a little bit here. You know, we're stacking these up like floors of a building. Now this little shadow lump down in here is starting to look deeper because these little dark, as these brighter green highlights are coming in, it's making the little shadow pockets down inside there that much deeper in comparison because the contrast is changing. We're upping the highlights, so brighter highlights makes darker shadows. Straightforward compositional design work here so far. Pull that in. I'm going to pull this in too. Making little tops of clouds. It's overhead, like little pathways. looks good. Now let's check our reference again. All right, so let's look at different. I like these highlight patches for the green. I don't want to mess with those too much, but I do want to have this. This is what I wanted. Building this up, so I'm creating these little layers and pockets of things to fall through. There we go. This is a 30 by 30 grid. Each when I do maps like this, each square inch is 100 pixels wide, and or 100 pixels per side, I guess you would say. And on a virtual tabletop, that ends up looking just fine. You do not need a 300 DPI level of depth in tokens and maps that you build on virtual tabletop. So 100 DPI is plenty of depth. Oh, I like how that looks. That's great. That feels really good. I like that. All right, next layer. Bring in the blues. Green deep. Green deep. Blue high. So now that we got this base down here, I'm going to go to the higher elevation of here. There and there. So drop that reference out of the way. I want to create a new blue base. I'm going to do that. This. That's a good place to start dropping in new blue highlights. Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. Yes. There we go. Yeah, so far so good. I like that. And here, let's go. Let's check our reference real quick because my heart told me to. Okay. Reference. Oh yeah, that feels good. I like that. Should be a, yeah. It's going from a slightly blue, like I'm guessing it's an aquamarine perhaps, and then bends up into that. It kicks up into that blue. That's what I want. Without knowing what that actually looks like, I know that's how I want the colors to move on this thing. So, and I like how. I like the contrasts that are being built up here, the shadow and the highlighting effects that are happening. This is all looking really, really nice. So it's just basically like, you know, it's poisonous. There's poisonous gas in the atmosphere of Vocath. So it's got these noxious. This is where that blue the green that's underneath. That's where that's coming from. That it's poisonous further down into the planet. The upper reaches are breathable, but it becomes as though it's foul air as you go down. Just being in it causes the poison condition that will end when you leave it. Hey, Timely Timer, thanks for keeping the time. 8:15, we're doing great. We'll see what I get into tonight. Don't think I'm gonna be on for a long stream tonight. Maybe for another 40 minutes. We'll see what I get done. Nope, that's the right choice there. God, I'm so hungry. And now blue highlights. Let's go back to our reference. Ooh, those are super sharp. All right. Push that out, and then I think I'll probably do some more white cap highlights. Good. And very good. So far, I'm pretty happy. Okay, so one last layer. Just dropping in some of those highlights again. I think I want to push that up to a blue, whitish mix. I don't want to overdo this. I mean, that's really where we're at. We're kind of, at this point, we're kind of sculpting with light a little bit. So I think I should probably just slip into that gear like this. Build that up, flip it up. It's a little cloudy stuff. I don't want a central light source. Like I don't want like the assume that like light's coming from this way across the page. I want to sort of have cloud highlights going in all directions, so it feels like this is like a cutaway in the atmosphere. There's more atmosphere going on above that you just don't see. Tuft and blend. I like to preserve that edge, keep it somewhat sharp so it defines its space, and then blend in the under or trailing interior bits of the cloud. Under is a kind of a relative term right now. And as you can see, like we have these like pits of dark. That's where I'm ringing. Instead of having a central source of light that all of the shadows are being built off of in the map, we're making it so that it doesn't matter which direction you're facing on the map. You're always like right side up, and then and non-label, like if you're gonna have labels on a map, you're going to have a one direction so that it's easy to digest all the labels, instead of having to turn the map constantly to figure out which, what's the name of that thing over there. That's obnoxious. But when it's a battle map that's neutral and that it can really be turned in any direction, having neutral light sources like this delineates from like what's the proper direction, like what's the proper orientation of a map. There is none. It's built to be faced in any direction, so there's not like a player facing side and a DM facing side. I oppose those ideas in general when I can. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that. There, like that. Like it kind of has a feel like the light's coming from underneath, but there's just shadow down there. So I think that's a fun confusion. Helps add an otherworldliness to the environment, which is appropriate for Spelljammer. But again, we're doing that radiating from the center. If there is a center point, it would be in the middle of the piece, and we're pushing outward from it. You see I'm punching that highlight where that dark is. That's where I'm hitting the highlight. So it's dark, super bright, and then it tapers off to a gray. That high contrast is something that I seek out in my compositions. Feels good. That feels really, really good. I love how that feels. God, that's so good. Love that. Love that. Hey, what's up? What's up, bro? Morning to you, my guy. This is the battle map for the Doom Space fleet battle that we're building to complement the mechanics that we have for fleet combat, and use them in the Lives of Araxis adventure in Act 3, Part 3, while the characters are in Doom Space. I've talked about that a number of times. You can check one of the more recent episodes for me to do a lot of walking through on like the narrative that goes into how Vocath is making use of his battle crab and in this scenario. So we took all the time to build out the crab. So that's how it sits. And then this will be the environment that the allies in the fleet are in, along with the star moths that are in orbit as well. So this is a 30 by 30 inch map space that should work. That should work fine for us at the. These are actually bigger than they need to be right now. Flower, if you throw the grid back in. Yeah, that's proper sizing. But that battle crab is big compared to the rest of these ships, so it is the tank, and it is being lent. Its participation is being. I've got a streak going on inside there, and I don't necessarily know why. I'm gonna have to come back and visit that. But this is the battleground where the fleet battle will take place. Loving the new monk. Absolutely loving what I'm seeing there, and I am going to be spending time tomorrow at lunch, and about probably about 17 hours from now, we'll be on our development, our Martial Powers dev stream for Tuesdays and Fridays. We'll be devoting that to the monk, rebuilding the revised mana class features as detailed by 2024, and then it'll be a little while, I think, before we get subclass information, but we'll start being able to build off of that. There. God, I just love how that blends. It feels so good. Hey, what's up? You need to go to a mental health institute today. We'll stay there for 5 days. Right on, man. Well, I hope you find solace and peace during that endeavor. All we can really do is try to find solace within ourselves. Right on, man. I really like how these highlights are sitting in and pulling and separating these different layers from each other. That feels really, really good. I hope I will get to meet new people. I hope so too. I struggle a lot as an artist in isolation. It's crafting, whether it's writing or painting. It's a pretty solitary, lonely activity by nature, and I'm actually somewhat of an, I yammer a lot, so it shouldn't be too surprising that I'm actually kind of coded as an extrovert. But have I work from home for my corporate labor, and then I choose to paint. So I don't get out much and see people, far less than I probably should. So good. So, do I have kids? I don't really talk about myself that much. I do not have kids. I've got a gal in my life. That's about as far as I explore personal space online. Sorry for having boundaries like that, but I gotta have boundaries like that. Thanks for being curious and interested in me. I truly appreciate that. But we aren't really social media people. The only real social media presence I have is basically hawking books and talking about what I'm streaming about and other like professional events that happen. As far as like personal front goes, I kind of let personal front on social media go a couple years, more than a couple years ago at this point, I would say. Just reduce my bandwidth. So I have my professional hat on, and that's basically the only hat I wear. So most of the time when I'm engaging from a Phil the designer perspective or Phil the artist perspective, not from like Phil drinking a beer with you perspective. It's being able to build a separate space for yourself. Like I think too many people allow their personal view of how reality is, cut themselves off from potentially interacting with new people, and I think it's that interaction and getting a new influx of ideas at all the time is what helps keep people vibrant and nimble in their mind. Wow, time's flying right now. So if I think if people wear their heart on their sleeve a little bit too much on social media, I think they start to lose their sense of what actual values they have, because it's under influence. It's constantly under attack. So being able to like pick a persona or a stance from where you operate from when you're engaging in social media, I think is really useful. It helps create that barrier between what's true to yourself and what are you actually presenting in a non-plastic sort of way, you know. Like if I don't, with a complete lack of social media involvement, I'm never at a place of pulling myself out of the moment because I want to share it on social media. Like if it was so profound that the circumstance impacted me enough, I'll talk about it after the fact. I don't need to share and stream with people something that I'm enjoying right now. I can just tell you how much I enjoyed it later, because I'm actually going to be experiencing it instead of trying to log it as an event for people to view. You know, if that makes any sense. This is that degree of that of a lot, that there's like a degree of freedom that you lose when you bind yourself to reporting on yourself on social media like it needs to be done. It's I think it fatigues people more than it needs to, and it doesn't become a helpful tool when you enslave your activity to being posted online, it removes a level of sincerity to the moment that you are actually experiencing it. If you're always thinking, when's the shot? Like, where's the shot I can take? You know, it's like you're not here. You're missing it. Anyway, I'm on a ramble here. Apparently, my muse wants to talk about people treating themselves better online today. So, I guess that's what we're talking about right now. God, I love this layering, though. I tell you, man, my muse, she pushes my pen. And the more I let her talk through me about whatever it is that she wants to talk about, the more I forget that I'm painting, and the more she just does stuff and it just manifests. A lot of the times when I'm doing art, I'm witnessing its production as much as you are, because I don't specific, like I can zoom in and see a point, like I can see this point, this is where I'm going to work next. But how it's actually going to turn out, I don't like visualize what it is that my end result is going to be, and then I make it manifest by letting the pixels overlap what I'm actually doing on the page. It's I have a vague idea of like the energy or the emotion or the feeling of the piece and the subject matter that's going to be in it, and then I just kind of let it just kind of manifest, you know. It's like my body knows how to do this. So just get out of the way and let it do it, and let it try to surprise me with the results that it produces. And I think that's a really that makes it fun for me. Like I don't know exactly what's gonna happen next. I don't know, like I can get a sense of where something's going, but until like I hit that highlight like that, like that's a good feeling highlight. Like I really fucking like this map. I think this is a great map. I love the non-specific direction of how the highlights are layering over different layers of clouds on, which is exactly the effect that I want for the reference image here, right? It's got these different layers of clouds that are going through it like some sort of like a layer cake almost. But if I'm going to do it from a top-down perspective, I have to approach that feeling from a different place. So green base underneath, darker shadow, with highlights poking through, and then we have the blue up top, and then it kind of dives down and then bubbles back up, like the water we were doing in the puddles for the Eberron map that we do in the morning. You know, those water hazards, as it were, how the coffee oil sinks into the depths of the pool, and then the little ribbons of blue threading their way through it. This feels like that same way, but this is a more etheric, cloudy effect as opposed to that being a more liquidy effect, you know? I'm rambling. Yeah. Better not. What's up? Oh, okay. And the gal's not there when you're painting, like, right to the next room. You don't need to enter if you don't want to. Yeah, I have my own space that I do this work in, so it's rare. It's very rare that I'm interrupted in the process. Very rare exception that anything interrupts me. And if anything is going to interrupt me, it's probably going to be a text on my phone that I can engage with, you know, that needs to be addressed in its own time. But artists need their studio. And that studio needs to be a safe space where you can operate inside of and not worry about being interrupted. Like it's the man cave theory, you know? Painters have had man caves forever. I love how this is blending in. This feels so good. God, I love it. So, Painter's the old. Yeah, no kidding, right? Talk about Plato's cave. And let's put a little bit of highlight down here. Make that corner pop a little bit more. I don't want to go overboard down here, otherwise it might not read as sinking in elevation. I want to preserve that sense of depth. But the highlights kind of, when they're a lower register highlight like that, they read more like steps down, I think. The highlights aren't as sharp as those above it. Blend that in so it seeps away. Now that looks really fucking cool. Let's create a new layer, and then let's grab this. Let's build a lower tier highlight inside of there. Put another one in here, like that. There you go. I find that particularly funny, considering how absolutely blind I am in the sun. When you don't, when you don't have cones in your eye, not only do you not see color, but you're locked in on night vision. So any sort of like bright lights are just, they absolutely wash everything out. So yeah, I avoid the sun like a troll. Absolutely. That's so funny. Where's this at? There's that. Okay, this is good blend in here. I'll do that. You get this like a real coral reef sort of feel. That's the vibe that I'm catching from this right now. It's green, blends into blue. That feels good. Push that up like that. How's that sound? Do that. love that. I love the depth. Feels so good like that. There. Question. Okay. So, when do you know your piece is done and you can stop working on it? It looks done when I came in. Yeah, I know, right? Sometimes a piece is done. Okay, so I stop when I'm told to stop. It's just a button goes, like a light goes off my head and says you're done. I'll look at it and then I'll think about, like, I'll notice if anything feels undeveloped. Like, I wanted this layering effect. I very much wanted this poofy, cloudy layering effect going in. And so one of the things I really wanted to key on is building this feeling of striation. So even though the cloudiness was fine, I wanted to add in these like crystally sort of layering of these highlights, like this almost brittle cotton candy sort of feel to it, which I think I'm accomplishing pretty well. So I know what I wanted the end effect to end up being like, and like I had an idea of like a feeling about how I wanted this composition to feel, and until the piece feels that way to me, it's not done and won't let me go. It really sucks because if I can't figure out what kind of brush mechanics I need to be able to pull off the feeling I want for the piece, I can get stuck inside of a piece for way longer than I need to. Other times, like the vibe of the piece is real easy for me to resonate with, and I just hammer out the piece and it's done. Generally, as an artist, I'm going to want to take the piece further than it is. Like, I always want to level my shit up as I go. And if I get inspired in a particular style, even though the piece may actually be done, I might just be fucking around with brush strokes. Like, I'm just practicing. Like, the thing is done, I can't fuck it up at this point, so let's just mess around. That's not unusual either. So, long story short, too late. It's whenever it feels right. When it feels like the way I want the piece to feel, then I've done my job. So I'm not really concerned about like the technical bits of things. I know I can depict anything that I want. Like, if I can imagine a scene, I can paint it. There's no limits there. It's just how much time do I need to invest, and is it going to feel right when I do it? Which comes down to a lot of like composition design. I don't like how that looks. I'm going to erase that. This is collapsing on itself a little weird, so I wanted to take that out. So, yep, 100%. Yeah, zero color. I have no color at all. And yeah, I'm not liking that piece down there at all. I think I want to do it more like this. So, and I was talking about that earlier when I just started this piece. Like, if you go back to the beginning of me dropping in the color here, I did a quick little essay on how I pick my colors and like how I build my compositions and stuff, because everything's built on contrast. Since all I see is gray tones, the only way the only real expression I'm having in this piece is through the contrast, like, which is why I wanted these deep shadows here and these brighter highlights, because it adds these different levels of it builds in this layering effect, and so the colors are I'm just using my reference here and plucking colors from these different clouds. I just see that there's like green is further down and then blue is further up, so I started with a really deep color here and added it to the map and just built up the map from bottom to top, overlapping different pieces. So here, I'll point that out to you here real quick. So we started there, right? And then I started just layering in a base layering of greenish clouds, added in some POC highlights and started defining where the really dark points on the map are. Then we added in the bright highlights that were at the so you can see the really dark greens here, and then like a mediocre green here, right? I got the RGB thing over here on the side. This shows me where my R, my G, and my B are at, and I'm really good at being able to like pick out colors. Like that's going to be like a weird off golden hue sort of something. This is probably like a watery sort of look. Obviously, this is going to be fire, like something like this. But if I get up like this, it's more like it's pink, you know. So like skin tones are going to be like a Caucasian skin tone will probably be like around. If she's really pale, like this, for instance, that's a little bit more red than it should be. So she's probably actually be like this. Or I could have somebody with a deeper, like South American pigment, might be more like this. So, and then I can go find, like I could take a picture of myself here and then use the colors that are on my face here to plot out like the color on the eye. I'll pull colors from the eye in that process. So now that I have these layers, see, you can see this here is very washed out, and in the shadow and these cloud buildup, that's similarly washed out. So we're building up these layers on top of each other. So that's the green layer underneath at the bottom, and then we put blue highlighting over it, or blue shadow over it to pull in the darker parts to make them even darker. And then we added our blue midtone, and then we added some bluish highlights here, and all this stuff is also inside the reference up here, right? See those colors there? They're very similar colors here. See, they have the same array where the red, the blue, and the green are standing. They're similarly curved here, so it's that curve between the three that I look for. Like that. And then we add on the additional layers, which are here for the bluish highlights on the underbelly, and then our top side stark white blue effect. So that's basically how I build a composition. I know vaguely the colors that I need for what I want to do. Like if I want to do something with like steel and granite, I know I'm going to need to get blue, rock, and metal references. And I know how the RGB sits over here, so I can just type into Google, give me like iron ore and granite mountains, and that'll give me the color arrays that I need, and I can just start pulling out my color palette based on where I want the lights and the darks of the composition. Dark, light, medium, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. It's just, I like having that contrast of sharp separation next to each other to create a really strong contrast, to pull that dichotomy forward, since all I see in is dichotomy of gray tones. It's my style of art's kind of evolved into having sharp highlights against dark shadows to build that sharp line of separation between objects. That's just the style that developed as a result of what I can do. So, but yeah, lots of photo references. That's the way to do it. Yeah, lots of photo references. Otherwise, I'm just painting by color, or I'm just basically painting by numbers. Wherever the composition tells me I should drop in some more stuff, like down here, that's what I do. And occasionally participants will help point out if I fucked up a color, because sometimes I grab the wrong colors, sometimes I fuck up. And I don't find out about it until like somebody's like, "What's going on with that?" I'm like, "Oh shit." It's rare that I'll fuck up colors, but I will occasionally fuck up colors, and it's an embarrassing backlogging process. But it's most of the times either I catch it or somebody else catches it with me, and I can fix it before I send it off. But I have not had any paid clientele even question the color palette decisions that I make. But a lot of times I go over what kind of colors I want to put in the piece based on what the composition is, and get clients to sign off on it so they know where I'm pulling colors from and what I'm using, so that there's no surprises along the way. They already know the references I'm using. They're already signing off on them. We're good to go. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now that I know what I'm going to do, I can just try to make the best thing that I can. That feels pretty good right there. Grab up this bit down here. There. I like how these two things are kind of blending and bumping into each other like that. That feels really cool. Where are you going? Get on back. There you go. And then when I'm regarding when something is done or not, a lot of times it also depends on like how far into this piece do I want to dive, right? Like, do I need to be at this level of resolution for this map to work properly? Possibly. It looks pretty good out here, but when you start zooming in, it looks kind of crappy. So it's like, okay, well, how much time do I want to spend on decrapping this thing? Like, how much value is there in doing that? I can. Nah, I don't like that. I'm gonna separate that out. There. I'm gonna grab that and bring it down here. Like, I don't need to do this. I just think it looks cool, so I gotta do it. I spy with my eye text. What's up? It's pretty amazing how you managed to overcome color blindness. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of that one. I will half jokingly guess that I am some ancient painting master that got bored being in heaven and wanted a challenge. Wanted to come back to the planet. It's like, hold on, let's I could have been a blind archer, you know? Like, what's the most fucked up shit? Like, people that have reincarnated so many times that they're bored of reincarnating and they start just making up crazy gambles. Like, I dare you, I dare you to come back to the planet with all of your memories of heaven, but be trapped in a quadriplegic body that is going to take you 15 years to be able to learn how to blink your eyes to communicate with people. And when you do, you'll have like all the truth of the planet, but you'll have a horrible rare cancer that'll kill you just a few months before you die. So you have like all this like amazing information about heaven packed in, but you only have like a very small period of time that you can share that, and like that's your personal challenge. It's like, I want to live that life to see what that's like. Or like I want to be addicted to basketball, but then get paralyzed in a car wreck. And I fucking love basketball so badly. I'm willing to do this wheelchair thing to stay involved in sports, and then you just get really fucking good at free throw line 3-point dunks. Like, that's where you end up locking yourself in. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter that I can't walk. I can't miss a 3-point swish. I'm perfect with it. Like that's the shit you end up trying to amuse yourself with. I think there's some soul in heaven that's basically playing a virtual reality game, and each of us is a best-selling video game. And there's different ways you can speed run it. You can survival mode and go off grid, like Rick and Morty playing Roy. Same thing. I have strong indications that this is a simulated reality, and that we are here specifically just to fuck around and find out. Just do the craziest shit you can think of, and since there's no risk that if everything goes horribly wrong like a Cylon, you're just gonna wake up back in your tank and check out your high score, grab a beer before you jump back in the pool. And I think the faster people figure that out, the more fearless they become. They start really racking up like the top scores, like the top 10 high scores on the game of Phil are probably people that are fully realized and have absolutely no fear about what they do. So, you know, they rack up like 8-9 digits. And when you first start off playing Phil, like, you might only hit 6 digits, and you had some fun, you thought it was cool, but then you check it out, it's like, oh man, there was all this stuff I could have done. I want to go back and play that game again. And you keep going back, finding new ways to hit achievements and high scores and speed runs and survival modes, and like the non-violence clear, like the pacifist mode. So you defeat the game without ever drawing any kind of violence, with like never raising your voice the entire life. Like, that's your pacifist mode achievement that you're going for with yourself. It's a stupid analogy, but I think there's actually, I truly believe there's truth to that. And I think it helps sculpt the decisions that I make when I interact with people. Because if they're all just playing the game as well, we don't know if they're aware they're playing a game yet or not, so they might be taking life way too seriously. So you have to be careful with them, because they can do things that are dangerous if they feel that they have to, if they're desperate. But once you recognize somebody that like understands that this is a game, you can just bullshit, not take anything they say personally, just fuck around, just be friends, and not really be concerned about stuff. I think that's where a lot of deep kinships come from, with people that stack up quarters next to each other on video games in the arcade of life. And talk about my muse inspiring me and feeding me information. It's like she has cheat codes, and she's like, oh yeah. That's go down that left way. There's loot boxes down there. You want to go down that path, and don't go this way. That's a trap. Like, that's that chick that you fell in love with, like, during your 30s or whatever, and, like, she ends up being poisoned. She's like, no, you want to avoid that. That's a trap. I think we all actually have co-pilots. That's what our intuition and our conscience is, and our sense of deja vu. Deja vu triggers to make us aware that this is something that we've done in our life before, so pay attention. But hey, you know, that's me. See all these little paint globs? I have to work these paint globs to get them off the screen so that they like kind of break the immersion a little bit. So I have to go in here and I have to wisp. I have to, you know, tug at their edges so they wisp up a little bit. There we go. I see some text. I'll catch up with you in a sec. What's up? Taxes. Focus on the fabric of reality. That's right. Fulfill taxes. You know, whatever. Pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. They don't leave you alone and don't let you fuck around. Well timed, my dude. I love one of the best quotes I ever heard was, "We all have a destiny, and the only free will we really have is how how much grace do we enter a situation, and how helpful do we try to be on our way out of it? We're destined to have this conversation, but it's our own free will to see if we're going to enjoy the conversation, or if we're going to resent the conversation, or if the conversation is going to scare us or make us feel guilty about something. It's the interpretation, like the after the fact. Oh, this thing is happening. If you're unconscious, if you're sleepwalking your life, it's going to be like, what does this say about me? Like, I'm suffering through this event right now and I hate it. What does it say about me that I had to be subjected to this? But if you're awake and you're savvy and you're trying to pay attention to what's being given to you, it's I'm entering this situation. What can I do with this? How can I make this better for the people around me? What can I learn from this circumstance? And as you have more success in extracting wisdom and happiness out of weird circumstances, the more you can allow bad shit to happen, because it's not going to be bad shit to you. You can take on larger level threats. That's actually, honestly, ironically, that's why I stopped training in martial arts, because I was getting to a point that the people that were more advanced than me were talking about how they'd get their house to get broken into while they were asleep. And so they have to deal with armed robbers in their home. Some other people I was talking to would go. They were Israelis, so they got knifed or almost shot at the airport on 3 different occasions. And it's just weird, dangerous shit would start falling into these people's laps, and they would wear it like a badge of honor, because they're like, we can walk out of these situations unscathed, and it's so much better that it would be me that has to deal with it than if they decided to break into my neighbor's house instead. They could have died. I could contain the situation and help get them arrested. My neighbors would have died. And I really respect and honestly sort of coveted that level of power and awareness. And I've seen police reports, so I know they're not just making stuff up. They're not just talking shit. I've talked to multiple reliable people that have dealt with super weird, violent circumstances that they just walked out of it completely scot. I got stopped up at a bus stop between 2 dudes. One of them, they knew each other, but one of them was on drugs, and he was actively stealing stuff from the other guy's home. I'm at the bus stop. They run into each other in front of me. They start talking shit at each other. I try to just let it go and step off to the side. But one of them says, I'm going to fucking shoot you, and reach into his coat pocket to pull out a fucking gun. And while he's doing that, the other guy, I'm looking at this guy pulling out a gun, and the other guy, he jumps behind and grabs me like in a headlock to try to use me as a human shield, and my brain turned off and I disappeared. But when I woke up again, I was standing up from a crouch, and both of them had running off in the bushes. So the best I can gather is my body decided to leave the situation, so I dropped my weight, rolled out of it sidewise, and then popped back up to my feet. And as soon as I disappeared as a shield, the dude that was trying to use me as a shield got scared and ran down the hill, and the guy with the gun chased after him, and I was suddenly all by myself at the bus stop, and the bus then just rolls up and opens the door, and I'm just like, okay. And I got on the bus and paid my fare and went home. Like, that is a very small example of the crazy kind of shit that were the people that I was starting to hang around with. And my brain somewhere inside of me, it said, it's amazing that you can serve this super fucking weird service to your community around you, but you want to have a family, so you really shouldn't be trying to. You don't want to pull that energy to you. You know enough to survive, obviously. Maybe you should back off and call it in and just be an artist instead. So I stopped being a martial artist and I started painting more and stayed home more often. So, but again, your life is going to hand you different circumstances, and there's nothing you can do to avoid the things that you go through and the feelings that you have while they happen, the emotions are going to move through you. But it's us that assign meaning to those feelings and circumstances. Like, I knew something like that could happen, so it didn't scare me. It was, to me, like that moment of violence was just an affirmation of, yeah, this is the level of skill that you've gotten. You're actively pulling evil to you because you can neutralize it somehow. Like, you become I'm almost like a catalyst. Like, this violence happens around me and I'm not a part of it. It's just I'm just untouched. It's like I would just rather not have the violence happen around me. So I think I'm going to check out. So, but just the amount of it was kind of hard to walk away. The level of self-awareness that you get when you're actively training in combat is just, it's its own thing. And me with my limited vision, it was very, very strong. It was very aphrodisiac to me to be able to gain that level of control of people in the environment around me when my whole life had really been about trying to adapt and accommodate people, other people around me, because I don't know what they're doing. And it's like, once I got to that level of proficiency and self-control, I'm like, okay, well, I don't care about anything anymore. We're all good. And I became significantly less scared in my life because of what I knew that I had been shown, not because of what I was building towards, but what I had already been shown, that I'll be safe. So I didn't have to try so hard. It's covered. Even if karma doesn't just completely keep you out of a situation, you obviously have the reflexes and ability to be able to resolve it. So be at peace. And my life's been very peaceful ever since. Anyway, I'm rambling a lot. Because I wanted to go home. Because it was 11:30 at night. And if I called the cops, I would have been stuck there for another hour and a half, basically just twiddling my thumbs. Like, I don't know who these dudes are. They went that way. See you later. Like, whatever. Like, my bus literally just pulled up and opened the doors. Like, well, obviously this is the next step for me. So I got on and let it go. It wasn't my problem anymore. They might not have even been real people. It was just something that was being shown to me in the moment that gave me an opportunity to respond. And they just disappeared down the hill, and they were just literally gone from my reality forever. It's like, what a weird circumstance. Basically, all I'm left is that experience as a story and something for me to reflect on. I'm like, this situation is more than I can handle, so I'm just going to let go of the wheel and just do whatever it does. And I just literally just blanked out. And when I came to, the situation was resolving itself off stage. Like, that's fucked up. I mean, who knows? Maybe I fainted. Maybe I fainted and it just became dead weight and he couldn't hold me anymore. And the impact of me hitting woke up and it caused me to just reflexively roll because impact means roll. And so, who knows? Maybe I just chose to pass out right there just to become an inconvenient... Like, the guy's asleep. Obviously, he's not going to be able to participate in the situation. Maybe that's what happened. I honestly don't know. I just blanked out when I came to. I was standing up. I'm like I was already in the motion of standing. I'm like, what just happened? It's the most unstudly story ever. But seriously, my brain just like turned off and turned back on. It's like I restarted the computer. Everything was fine. It just had to reboot. That looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna do something up here. But we're almost done. And oh yeah, it's 9:17. We really are almost done. Just gonna futz around up here in the corner for a few minutes, and then we'll be done for the day. But we're gonna be back tomorrow morning to continue working on the. Oh yeah, we're moving into the gazebo. We're gonna work on the gazebo map tomorrow, and let's see. Tomorrow lunchtime, we got the monk information today, so now I get to rebuild the monk variant options for the martial power system based off of what we know about 2024. I am absolutely thrilled with where it's at. Again, it's just curving into what we want to do. So the monk is going to be super easy for us to convert. I'm looking forward to doing that. So that'll be my lunchtime tomorrow. Wednesday when we are around. Morning Eberron art stream, of course, probably finishing up the gazebo. And then lunchtime. I won't have lunch this week. My schedule, my day job is going to be a little bit too busy for me to have a lunch design stream. But on Thursday I'll be back in the morning, and then Thursday afternoon I'm going to be playing a game of basic D&D with Fred at How to RPG. And Wally DM, and a couple other folks. Not sure who all is on the roster, but I'll be playing some Beckme, and then I'll be back on Thursday night to do more Spelljammer stuff like this. Friday morning, Eberron, lunchtime, continuing the monk. No. Smudge. I want to smudge. I see text. Hold on. What's up? If life is a game, I want to play this game again against myself and other people. I don't want to do anything weird like investment crypto or anything. Just want to chill and better. That sounds really healthy, man. Like excitement, adventure, Jedis want not these things. A peaceful life and being able to build a peaceful life for the people that are important to you is probably one of the greatest gifts you can give anyone. Being able to build security and safety so they feel safe to be free to be themselves. What else could you do? Like, that's the whole purpose of being a parent. To build a safe space for kids to figure themselves out. We all need to be parents to ourselves a bit more. Do what we can to build safe spaces for our hearts so that we can feel safe to feel the way that we're supposed to. I think that's it. Oh, nope, wait. Some cleanup over here. It highlights a little crap, so we fix that. I don't want to make it too smooth because it loses that fluffle feel to it. But it can't be just left as a daub of paint. It's just too clumsy. So it's a balance between refinement and just splattering. There. There. That feels pretty good. I want to blend that in a little bit more. I like this depth that's going on here, so I'm gonna lean into that a little bit more here, like that. I spy text. Hold on. So, I think I mind excitement, but I think I want physical excitement, like climbing a mountain or playing. Ah, right on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very different from jump scares. Right on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very different from jump scares. I feel you. And I'm oversimplifying. I think I'm speaking hyperbolic. And I'm oversimplifying. All right. I'm just doing a quick scan for any glumps of paint that need to be resolved. So far, I'm pretty happy. Smooth that out. We're super close. I can feel we're very, very close. That's too much of a paint line. I need to soften that up a bit, and success. There. Excuse me. Choking on the love over here. What's that? So, when is the adventure done? Ha ha ha. The Spelljammer and the Eberron ones. Also, the piece is looking good, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm hoping the Eberron adventure will be published by October, maybe November. So that probably means December. I'd like it to be sooner, but I can't rush it. But it's coming along really, really well. I mean, we're really in the death spiral for it. And then this adventure specifically, I think this will probably be. I might be able to build this parallel and have it released in September, maybe. I'm not pushing, like, the Eberron project is my primary project. So when I'm off screen, I'm doing Eberron stuff. Like, the only time I work on this project is when I'm here on screen. My primary project gets my off-screen time as well as time every day. So and once that helps speed up that project, and once it's done, I'll have a number of other projects that are well on their way to getting into the pipeline as well. So everything kind of moves along slowly until one piece starts taking off, and then that one launches, and then the next one kind of gets in the chute, and then it launches, but everything else just kind of moves forward slowly together until the next thing pops off. So I don't know if it's the best way to do my pipeline, but it's how I do my pipeline. So it's going to be what it's going to be. So here is I like that. I like that a lot. And let's see, where's our grid? Here's our allied ships. This might not be a large enough battle space. I mean, we can scale. I mean, obviously, we can scale in and out. At the 30-foot scale, these are. If I were to instead say have this at the 500-foot scale, drop those allies off, and instead go with the 50-foot token, 500-foot token, Vocath's crab. So at the 500-foot scale, this is tons of map. This is a 500 feet, 10 by 10. So this is one. So this is basically a 3 by 3 mile square that we're looking at here. If each one of these squares are 500 feet, 10 by 10 space, the 500-foot scale is roughly, well, it's exactly 5,000 feet, which is roughly a mile. So there's 10 of these grids off this way, and there's another map here. There's another one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a 3 by 3 mile area. That's absolutely huge when we're at the 500-foot scale. But as soon as we drop into the 50-foot scale, if we were to use the same map to represent the 50-foot scale, obviously there's a lot less maneuverability going on. So we generally don't move into the 500-foot scale, into this 50-foot scale until the ships are within 500 feet of each other. So if we were to get to this scale of map, it's because the elves have already closed so much distance that they're planning on docking anyway. So the actual scale of combat is most likely going to be occurring here at the 500-foot scale. So I don't need to have this much of a map at the 500-foot scale. We could zoom in to just like this little corner over here, for instance. We can grab that, and well, I can't pick up the grid because I have it locked right now, but you're getting the sense of scale that we're talking about here. Go over here, and like it's a lot easier to see it here. Like if this is a 1 mile space, right? If a ship was sitting outside of this area here in the next map over, if I was positioned here, it'd be a mile away. I can't effectively target this ship if it's aware of me if I'm a mile away from it. Like so. Yeah, so that's where we're at, and I think when we do the zoom out, I'll be able just to grab a chunk of this map and probably put it over here where there's more highlights, so it's going to be easier to pick up on all the ships in general. But for the overall, I think for the 50-foot scale map, I think this 30 by 30 should probably be just fine. But yeah, I think that's it for today. So too much. But yeah, I mean at the 50-foot scale, it's fine, right? Like we have star moths here, star moths would not be needing to get this close unless they were attempting to board. So you can have them there, and we can have Vocath's crab like. Hold on. Oh yeah, it's not gonna move because it's all frozen up. But anyway, we could put them allies down here and the elves up here, and they'd have a mile of distance, or they'd have a few hundred feet of distance between themselves while simultaneously at the 500-foot scale. So we have the 500-foot scale map overall, this huge environment, and they got the 50-foot scale, which is an intermediary map where you can engage with each other at dogfighting and melee combat. And then the 5-foot scale is when creatures boarding each other's deck to like meet face to face or to duel or whatever, your close scale combat. So we'll be able to use this and probably just up the scale a little bit, and then I want to probably double this. It's already 300 DPI, so I can easily have smaller map squares for the 50-foot scale and still be able to operate inside of here. So we'll mess around with it. But this is essentially what we're looking at. So when we come back on Thursday is when we'll be back next. Since the background is done and the tokens are done, we still have to build out. Let's see. So our battle map is done. So next thing we're going to do is build Vocath's crawling throne token that he sits on. Then we'll need a guard token, a servant token, a Braxit, which is a monster from Boo's Menagerie. We'll need to build one of those. We already have all the tokens for the elves. And once we get through these 4 token illustrations, we can also spend some time about how are we organizing the fleets, the kind of damage that they're going to do with each other, the action economy that the elves have to be able to retaliate against the team's defenses, and type out the goals of the adventure, the complications, the narrative, and then it'll be good to go. So if we pick at that slowly here online, September is probably really realistic to have. We obviously have to do the fucking book cover. So that's gonna be murder. And then any gaps that show up in the text once it's finalized, we'll fill in there as well. But yeah, we're coming along. Maybe September. That's probably reasonable to assume. But that's it. That's where we're at for now. And so I'm gonna be back on in the morning in about 9 hours. We'll be back online. Rez, I hope your the time that you spend away is restful and helps you recalibrate and lets you unplug and plug the computer back in. And I'm looking to catching up with you on the other side of that. And anyone else that's out there in the world, thanks a lot for being around. And thanks for all the new subscribers. I really appreciate everyone taking an interest in this stuff. So you bet, man. You be good to you. So we'll catch everybody on the other side. Cheers.